Greetings, and welcome back to the next episode of Tank Encyclopedia's Bi-Weekly Report. In news regarding armored vehicles, we are sad to report that around a dozen vehicles in the collection at Danbury, Connecticut have been cut up for scrap. These include some rarer vehicles, such as an MBT-70 prototype. As far as it is known, the Center for Military History and TACOM have decided not to sell or loan out these vehicles to another collection or museum, opting instead to have them destroyed and removed. While this situation is seen as a loss by the military history community, it serves as a reminder that we must all be advocates for these vehicles at the end of the day. By contacting representatives and volunteering our time and resources, we hope the military history community can not only arrive at some answers for this situation, but also potentially prevent it from happening again. History will not preserve itself, and it falls to the public to do its part in ensuring that experiences of our veterans and the equipment they used will be passed on from generation to generation. Up first is our book segment. Here's a review of Brian Parrott's Fighting Vehicles of the Red Army. I found Brian Parrott's Fighting Vehicles of the Red Army to be a very engaging and informative read. Parrott's short synopsis of historically significant vehicles, coupled with period photographs of the vehicles, work to give readers a basic understanding of Soviet armored development without going into a tiresome level of detail. The book also does a good job of covering a variety of vehicles. Not only are well-known vehicles covered, like the T-34 and KV-1, but also more obscure vehicles like the Vestakod, the ASU-57, and missile carriers. An interesting inclusion is the section of the book that covers Soviet tank doctrine, training, and tactics. This section is not a subject frequently covered in other writings, so it makes for an interesting read. All in all, this book serves as an excellent introduction to Soviet armor development and tactics between the First World War and the late 1960s when the book was published. I would highly recommend this book for anyone interested in learning about tanks or military history. This time around in the gaming segment, we'll be taking a look at the upcoming Update 1.93 for War Thunder titled Shark Attack, which will bring with it several new armored vehicles, including the M1A2 Abrams, BMP-3, ZTZ-96, and the Vickers Mark 7, amongst others. First up, the Abrams, taking its place at rank 7 as the top-tier American main battle tank for now. The M1A2 Abrams will in-game boast improved protection and more potent ammunition compared to the previously implemented Abrams variants, along with the addition of thermal imaging for the driver as well as the gunner, and a marginally increased ammo capacity. In addition to this, the armor protection across the hull has been improved, with its turret cheeks boasting 600mm and 900mm of kinetic and chemical protection respectively. One of the new ammo types, meanwhile, is the Heat MPT round with proximity-fused warheads, allowing it to be used in the anti-aircraft role. Next, the British with the Vickers Mark 7 and Centurion Action X. The Centurion Action X has been implemented as a premium, rank 4 vehicle with a turret reminiscent of the FV-4202 and Chieftain designs, and the quick-firing 20-pounder cannon giving it a high rate of fire but limited ammunition choices. The Vickers Mark 7, meanwhile, has been implemented with the hull armor of the Leopard 2 and the turret from the Mark IV Valiant main battle tank and a 120mm L11A5 cannon. Now for the French, with the AMX-30, ACRA, and the AMD-35. The latter is a replacement reserve vehicle for the AMC-34, an armored car, while the former is a modified version of the AMC-30 bearing a smooth-bore 142mm cannon capable of firing either high-explosive rounds or ACRA ATGMs, a laser-guided missile with the ability to penetrate up to 800mm of armor. Now the Russians, who gained 2 vehicles as modifications of previously implemented ones and 1 new vehicle. The 2S6M Tunguska M and the 9P149M are both being implemented as researchable modifications of their respective vehicles, while the wholly new BMP-3 is an evolution of the BMP design, sporting a 100mm dual-purpose cannon ATGM launcher, a 30mm automatic cannon, the iconic amphibious capability, and somewhat decent mobility. The BMP will be taking a role as a top-rank light tank in the Soviet line. Finally, Germany and China. Germany is receiving an East German version of the BMP-1, while China is receiving the ZTZ-96, a top-tier Chinese main battle tank sporting a 125mm autoloaded cannon at rank 6, with poor mobility for its class and rank. More details on other additions, bug fixes, and changes being made to the game can be found at the link in the description. So what's new in the modeling world? Tamiya has released their 16th scale display kit of the Sheridan with some updated parts. IBG Models released an updated version of their Crusader Mark III in 72nd scale. Meng announced their M4A3E2 Jumbo in 35th scale. So did Academy. In this case, only the box has been updated as it's not a new release. Academy also announced their Panzerkampfwagen II Ost L Lux in 35th scale. It's currently unknown if and what parts have been changed. Last but not least, TACOM announced their re-release of the Merkava 2D in 35th scale with new and updated parts. Our first new article features a project that was worked on in regards to the Panther tank, specifically the Panther 8.8 cm. In 1944, it became clear to Germany that the 7.5 cm main gun on the Panther would soon be inadequate against some of the heavier vehicles that they were facing towards the end of the war, and that the armament would need to be improved upon. At this same time, Daimler-Benz was developing the Schmalturm, or narrow turret replacement for the Panther Ost F. Krupp modified these drawings with an accommodated 8.8 cm L71 gun with a redesigned mantlet and main gun aperture. When comparing these two new turret designs, Daimler-Benz would have a larger turret ring with recoil cylinders underneath the gun, while Krupp had a lighter turret with repositioned trunnions. It was decided that the two companies would work together, utilizing the larger turret ring of Daimler-Benz and the gun mount of Krupp. However, this new turret design was never fully realized before the end of the war, with two known examples made. Today, one surviving example is located in the United States, while the other became a range target in the UK. This article was written by Joshua Martinez and was illustrated by Andrei Oktaten-Kurushkin with funds from our Patreon campaign. The other article we would like to feature is that of the Chinese 5916-130 light tank. We should preface this with a bit of a disclaimer. The information on this vehicle is extremely rare, as primary, verified sources are almost non-existent, and that this article posits a theory on the development of the vehicle based on photographic evidence and what little reliable written information exists. This article proposed the theory that this vehicle was to be a conversion from, or based upon, the Su-76Ms. This is due to the suspension being very similar to that of the Su-76M, as well as the lower hull shape. Photos show a turret design similar to that of a T-54 and what appears to be a 76mm gun. Sources state that there was a prototype with a wooden turret and gun due to a lack of developed Chinese industry at this point in time, and that an actual prototype could have existed at some point. However, due to the successful manufacture of the Type 62, development on the 5916 ceased in 1961. This article was written by Malik Kesh and Will Kares, and illustrations were provided by Andrei Oktaten-Kurushkin with funds from our Patreon. Also written recently are articles on the Buffalo APC, the Rossini CV3 light tank prototype, the 3.7 cm Flak-Zwilling Oft-Panzer Fahrgestell 341, and the Latil 4x4 TAR heavy artillery tractor. That's all for this report. Make sure to follow our website. We'll be releasing new articles on the regular. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Reddit. If you use Discord, there's a link to our community server in the description. And if you'd like to help us continue to develop and expand, consider donating on Patreon. All of the funds will be used to help us enhance and design new articles and features for you. I'm Nathaniel, and until next time, keep us in your sights.